Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
Hello, welcome to A Couple of Flicks. I'm Tristan,
I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
and today we are going to talk about movies with animals in them.
Yeah.
You know, it could give you a lot of different types of things. So let's try to stay open-minded here.
Just-
yeah,
This was definitely a lot of things.
variety
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, this episode is a lot. So,
Just missing a talking animal.
oh gosh, yeah. Well, it sort of has a talking. It sort of has talking. Yeah, kind of like.
Yeah.
But before we talk about those movies, do you guys want to talk about anything you guys like that you might have watched kind of recently or whatnot? I can't really think of anything I watched recently that's interesting enough to talk about, really. So
I saw the Mario movie.
Oh, nice. How'd you like it?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
We saw it in 4DX. I don't know if you ever seen those yet. They have the
I've heard of it.
They have the moving seats and like wind and stuff.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting. But Mario was a good one to see in that.
Definitely, I can see that. Yeah, because it's mostly like a spectacle movie. Not...
Yeah. And then like with the karting scenes, it was
Oh,
like it's kind of like the ride, you know. It's cool.
that would have been fun. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
they should make a 40X version of Speed Racer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one too.
Yeah.
I saw Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
Yes.
Nice.
Did you like it?
I liked it a lot, like a lot more than I was expecting to. I was like, something to go see on a Thursday randomly because I was bored. And I mean, I looked at it, it had good reviews and everything, but I mean, maybe I had lowered expectations, but you know, think it might be so far. I don't know, 2023. Anything I can think of, my favorite 2023 movie so far.
Aw.
It was just it was surprisingly good, is why I was just like, wow. Like it hit like the trailer had comedy and stuff in it, but the comedy was pretty funny.
Nice.
And then good effects, good fighting all around. You know, it was a 2 hour 15 or whatever, but it went by real fast. So yeah.
Excellent. That's the type of thing I like to hear. Cause like, yeah, a lot of people I know are telling me it's actually worth watching. And you know, like one person told me, yeah, you'll love it. I'm like, ooh, okay. Ooh, I'm interested now.
Yeah.
Like I know that there was a Hollywood D&D movie that came out like at least a couple decades ago at this point. That a lot of people tend to talk crap about, but
Yeah, didn't it? Is the one with the Wayans in it? There's a Wayans
brother.
it
had one of the Wayans brothers in it. I remember actually not minding that one that much. Like I remember enjoying it. Like I remember the effects not really being that good, and like I remember it kind of like a lot of the like more interesting characters I seem to remember got killed off early. You know, it was like one of those types of movies. But like I don't know. I don't remember it being bad or anything. Like it's not like a horrible, but it's not like Battlefield Earth or anything like that. Like there were way worse movies that came out around the same time that one did. That like I don't know why people crap on that one so much. Like that I thought that was perfectly like fine. I would watch that again. You know, I think that was on the bottom 100 IMDb list. So
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
No, this one was good.
Yeah.
It's like an actual good movie.
Good.
Definitely recommend.
Nice. All right. I do like D&D type stuff, so
yeah. And I can't really remember a good D&D movie that I've
Mazes
seen.
and Monsters.
I mean, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, no.
But go on. Yeah.
And I don't know much about D&D, but I'm sure D&D lovers will like a lot of it because I'm saying, oh, that's probably a monster they know and stuff. And just the vague things I know from like video games, they talked about like Baldur's Gate, which I know is a D&D move or game, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
mentioned Neverwinter. I
Oh
guess that's
yeah.
a D&D game too. So they had
Yeah.
some little Easter eggy type stuff in there for fans. I'm sure.
Yeah. I played a few of those games back in the day. I played Neverwinter Nights at one point. Like that
Yeah, I
game would
played
have been a
Baldur's
lot.
Gate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I did it. I remember I played it. I think I played both of them, but I couldn't get very far in the sequel. Like I think I was like stuck in the prison part. I don't remember exactly, but Neverwinter Nights, I remember like that game kind of pissed me off a little bit because instead of having like a health bar, you have like health points.
Mm.
Just like, oh man, like so you can only get hit like a few times and you die. And it's, I don't know.
Real
It's
D&D stuff then.
yeah, exactly. But that's the kind of stuff that I love too. And then I even played D&D like a few times as well with like my dad and a few of his friends and my sister and a few of her friends and other folks back in the day. Like, I don't know. It's not. I've never gotten like into the lore of it or anything like that. But it's like it's a fun kind of social thing.
Yeah.
I was a halfling, Ostler of Hornwood.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check it out.
Excellent. I think I will. I think I will check it out. I don't know that I'll check it out in theaters though. I don't know. I haven't really
I
been
think
seeing
it's
any.
like running. It's coming on the end of its run, so
Yeah. All right. I'll keep an eye out for it then. Uh, yeah.
it is streaming, but you got to
Oh.
pay like
Ah.
$20 for it for now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe in a couple weeks you'll get it for $5 for rental.
Yeah. I'll be on the lookout for the cheap rental.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Um, let's see. So, all right. I guess yeah, we'll start talking about these animal movies now. So, um, I guess if there is one thing that they all have in common, um, they are about animals run amok or like some kind of animal running amok. Like some kind of killer animal situation. Um, and this one, Long Weekend, is the one I chose from 1978. It's an Australian movie. And the reason I chose it is because I often see it on lists of movies about killer animals, and it's from Australia. Australia has made some of the more interesting horror movies, and I thought, okay, like this one could be pretty interesting too. Like this one could be kind of cool, but like I sort of like the thing about a lot of Australian movies is that they tend to be a lot more over the top and a lot crazier and more rambunctious in their visions. Like I remember we watched what was that Death Warms Up or Death or Blood Warms Up, whatever that movie was called.
Death warmed up.
Yeah, Death Warmed Up. We watched that movie a while
Was
back.
Tank Girl Australian or whatever too?
I think it was filmed in Australia at least. I don't know if the production was Australian. It might have been. I can't remember. I know it took place in Australia though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we've watched at least a couple, and there's
Yeah.
another one that's on this list. So, kind of. It's New Zealand, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah. So I was sort of expecting this one to be kind of on the campy side, but it's really not at all. It's actually very. It's like a heavy drama.
Yeah. And it's like more nature attacks than any specific animal.
Exactly. Yeah. It's only a few animals really attack. It's actually not this. It's not like a run for your lives. The bees are trying to kill us type of movie, or oh shit, our village is getting besieged by baboons. It's more like just shit going wrong. This movie is more like Antichrist.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
A little
it
bit of the
basically
happening, or the M. Night Shyamalan stuff. Yeah.
it did remind me of The Happening, in a couple different ways, which we could get into. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so all right, so basically, how did this, like the way you describe this movie is it's like a troubled couple type of situation where um like right from the get-go it's like a this I are they married? I think they're married or like
They're married, about to
yeah,
get divorced.
yeah, basically their marriage is on the rocks. They're like on the fritz, just it's like the last days. And
Yeah, like one of the lines was like, "I'm gonna divorce you when we get back on Monday," and he was like, "It's a holiday. You'll have to wait till Tuesday."
such a dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there is anything that like people should probably be warned about with this movie is that it is super heavy-handed. Like, you're definitely not supposed to root for these people.
No, they both suck.
Yeah, and they suck kind of on a profound level too, which I'll get into again. But right from the get go, the girl, she doesn't even want to go camping. Like at the beginning of the movie, she's talking on the phone with her buddy, say like I forget even what she says, but it's clear that she's just like not looking forward to this weekend. You know, like it's gonna be a long weekend.
Yeah. And he drives up too while she's on the phone. He just points a gun at her. And you're just
Yeah,
like, oh, okay, all right. But
yeah. It's like okay, so this is what we're gonna do now. That's great. Thanks, folks. Um, and the whole movie like basically from minute one just has it just feels completely off kilter like they I think they stop at like a gas station at one point and the guy tries to sort of talk to the guy at the register and he's like huh where are you going or whatever like he tells him where he's going or whatever and he's like I don't know what that is or something. I forget
never
what he
heard of
said.
it. Yeah, they like never
Yeah.
heard of it. And he's like, but it's
Yeah.
like 5 miles. I don't think they use miles, but five whatever down the road.
Yeah, it's like this really awkward conversation, and it's just like, okay, so yeah, it's already starting off, a little weird. They're leaving, and kind of throughout the course of the film, I mean, it starts off pretty early on, but it happens throughout the course of the movie is that they kind of, it's really both of them kind of just behave carelessly just throughout this weekend camping trip. Um, I mean, right at the beginning, like right at like after they get off the road, essentially, like or right like near the end of the point where they're getting off the road, he hits a kangaroo, and it then like
And she doesn't like their dog for some reason. I didn't. So that's what
oh
made me
Yeah.
not like her at all. Like, even before they left, she was giving the dog shit. Like, oh, we just put a bowl of food out. He'll eat it for the
yeah,
weekend. I'm like, you bitch.
yeah, that happens. I forgot about that. Yeah, that yeah, basically they she gives the dog a little bit of food. Yeah, and you later find out that he kind of sneaked the dog on board. It seemed like she didn't know, and at least which it's kind of remarkable the dog could stay that quiet that long. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, he hung out in the trunk apparently, and then like right when they got there, she's like, "Wait, you knew?" It's like
Duh.
obviously,
Duh.
yeah. No, the neighbors put his dog in the
Right. The dog just climbed in and covered himself with blankets and supplies.
yeah. Yeah, and actually, throughout the course of the movie, they kind of just treat the dog like crap. Like they just
The
let him roam
lady
around.
does.
Yeah,
The lady definitely hates the dog, but he liked it.
yeah, yeah. Like, um, but yeah. So, like, they basically are just constantly bickering throughout their trip. And throughout the course of the film, you sort of find out why. But
Yeah, and
well,
I was gonna say there is just that. I don't know, maybe in the second act somewhere they are seemingly a good couple for like I don't know, half an hour, 20 minutes or something,
yeah.
but it for no reason flips again to them hating each other.
Oh yeah, that was kind of weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like a part where I guess because at that point their situation was starting to turn kind of weird. Like
Yeah.
because like Yeah, I mean, she uses insecticide on ants for no reason, basically. It's like, oh, you ate our food. Well, what did you expect? You left food out. And yeah, I mean, but the thing is about this movie though is that these people, like, oh my god, these people, they did actually remind me a lot of people that I've gone camping with, honestly. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but like there are people in this world who, like, when you go camping with them, they'll just do nothing but like have a crappy time, and sometimes it'll be because of like legitimate reasons, but then like a lot of times it'll also just be because they're like their total their attitude about just everything is
Mm,
just a downer, and it's really frustrating. These two people are just kind of like that the whole time. Like, he's
yeah.
trying to force this whole like like idyllic getaway fantasy on her, and she's just having none of it because she's dealing with some pretty shitty stuff, actually. I mean,
And
you eventually,
that and her whole personality is like a more pristine. She wanted to go to a resort or a fancy hotel, but he wanted to do like I think they mentioned like Robinson Crusoe type couple of those books. Like he wanted to do an adventure
yeah,
and he forced it on her and she was just like, no, I didn't want any of this ever. Fuck you.
yeah. It turns out he's not a very good adventurer either. He like brings
No.
a gun, but that's about it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and let's see, there's and all so also like basically the reason that they're kind of in a rough spot at this point is because like there's been this whole infidelity situation, which then resulted in her getting pregnant, and then she, you know, ends up having an abortion and ends up having medical issues that resulted from that. And so she's just like completely depressed and pretty much hates herself. And so like once you kind of find that out, like
And he
suddenly,
hates her for it too. He was just like, you murderer.
yeah, exactly. Like there's like this is a couple that really just, the last thing they should be doing right now is going on vacation. Because if nature hadn't killed them, they probably would have killed each other first. Like, um
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, they have short tempers. They generally just, you know, fuck around, and then eventually, and they litter. um he even starts cutting down a tree for pretty much
No
no
reason.
reason. Yeah,
She even says like, why are you doing that? And he's like, I don't know. Just wanted
yeah,
to. Like one of the
yeah,
themes too, with besides the like abortion theme, is just littering is
mm,
bad. Like one of the first things he does is toss like a cigarette out, and shown throughout him just tossing
yeah,
beer bottles, cans, trash
it,
all throughout. Like the most
yeah,
heavy like handed theme they're trying to get across is don't litter.
yeah. I loved it. I love those shots. It reminded me of Walkabout, which is one of my favorite movies. Like where it kind of shows like something happen just kind of for no reason, like a can falling off of like a table or something like that, and then suddenly it kind of starts following a little story there, you
Mm.
know. But then it cuts back to the main story. I love when movies do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they showed
Um,
like after the littering stuff, just nature animal shots too, and nothing that had to do with the
yeah,
story, just cute little animals.
yeah, exactly. You know, like this movie does hit you over the head again and again with cute animals, and the whole like these people are bad type of thing, you know. Um, but you know, then stuff's, you know, the situation does start getting weird eventually. Because he's like he's swimming out, and wait, is it he who's swimming out, or is it his
Yeah.
wife? Oh, it's, yeah,
He's the only
yeah,
one that goes for a swim. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, he goes swimming. I because I remember he also goes shooting at a couple different points too. But
Yeah, that was just
yeah, they
random
just
as
randomly
fuck.
just start shooting animals.
He's like quoting, I don't know if he's really quoting, but pretending to be a badass and just shooting his gun
Yeah,
off.
imagining he's a cowboy, you know.
Yeah.
But they kill a it looked like a dugong, and
Sea
they call it,
cow.
yeah, they call it a sea cow. um and it kind of washes up on the beach. But then it's like then it starts doing this weird thing where it kind of starts getting closer and closer to their like what their camping proximity.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, like it took them forever to find. Like that on their way there, they get lost and end up sleeping on what looked like private property, and then 100 yards away is
He
where they
did
were trying to.
actually like when because the gas station didn't give him directions. He like pulled off, pulled out a private property sign and just like tossed it around and
Oh my god!
went on his way.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so that happens. Like it starts getting closer and closer to their camp, and then just more shit starts happening. Like he gets attacked by an eagle at one point, and he also gets attacked by an opossum on another point. She does the really stupid thing and decides to steal an eagle's egg and smash it. I mean, they kind of both stole the egg, but she's the one who decides to smash it against the tree, which is like, okay, now there's like, now you kind of have to die,
But she's just projecting there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I get what they were trying to do with it,
Yeah.
I mean, it was supposed to be kind of what it was, but and I can definitely see why this movie didn't do well in Australia when it came out. Because nature, I mean, it really is pretty clear what the threat is, like pretty early on, So then you do get stuck waiting, waiting around watching these people that you can't stand, bust around for like forever, basically. But at the last half an hour of the movie, this is when it gets really good. Because yeah, I forget when it happened. I think it was after he gets attacked by the possum. He's like, okay, we're gonna leave tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's funny too
Yeah,
when he gets attacked by the eagle. He was just like, "Whoa, that was weird, wasn't it?"
yeah.
Like that
He
was
just
earlier on. He was like, haha. He kind of laughed at it. I was like,
yeah,
"Whoa, that was crazy."
he laughs it off. He's like, what was that? Huh.
Yeah,
But then the next day, just shit starts going wrong. They basically turn against each other, like throughout the course of the day, because he starts procrastinating. She wants to get going. He starts getting all freaked out by shit that's going on. Because what happens earlier on, like, because she actually wanted to leave way, way, way earlier in the film, but he like turned the gas off. But eventually she figures out how he did it. And so she just turns the gas back on and steals his car. And eventually ends up driving into some spider webs. But it's really like it gets pretty scary though. Actually, like at this point, it's like the atmosphere, because up until like this point in the film, the movie's atmosphere was already pretty bleak, but this is
mhm.
when it felt like borderline apocalyptic.
There's definitely
It was
some supernatural kind of stuff going on too. Yeah,
yeah, like because like yeah, like it starts off being animals attacking them, but pretty much eventually it's just all of nature attacking them. Like he tries to start a fire, and then the fire starts getting all ballistic, and the trees and everything just starts flying and going haywire. And eventually, so it gets like the film starts getting pretty disorienting at a certain point because it gets dark. Neither of them can see what they're doing. Somebody fires off a spear gun. I couldn't figure out who
oh,
it was.
and
I thought it was him at first. Yeah.
the first time, or
Well, the first time I know that it kind of went off
on its
sort
own.
of
Yeah,
on its own. Yeah. But the second time it seemed like somebody fired it, but I couldn't really tell who.
it was him.
Yeah, it must have been like, but at one point I thought it was her because it just kind of looked like her from a distance. I don't know. It was really confusing.
I
Um,
saw a pretty good, clear version upload of it, and it was definitely because he was freaking out. He was hearing
yeah,
shit, and then yeah, he shot it
yeah,
off into the
yeah. And
unknown.
this was after she kind of crashes the car basically, and let's see, and then he kind of gets then he finds her body the next morning, or actually he finds it way earlier, but
He was just staring at it like he was at the camp
he,
because it was just a few feet away, and you like it cuts to the morning, and he's just sitting in the same spot and just like staring at her body.
yeah, it was really creepy. And yeah, so pretty much the rest of the movie kind of stumblingly tries to escape. He has a bit of a tough time with his car, to say the least. Um, but eventually he gets close to civilization, and he has a pretty close encounter with a snake, but which is foreshadowing for our next movie. But he manages to get to the road.
I saw this coming too.
I love this. This was great.
Yeah, I
This
saw
was
it
the best
coming.
part of the movie.
It's like
He
I
gets
know that this is gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets to the road. There's a truck coming. He tries to flag it down. An eagle attacks the truck driver.
Well, I didn't see the eagle, no, but I did.
Yeah, it was because of the eagle. So like in a way, the animals did kill him, but it was kind of inadvertently. The eagle attacks the truck driver, and the truck driver runs him over, and you just see his splattered guts all over the highway. Just the perfect ending to the movie.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have wrapped up in a better way, because right at the beginning of the movie, she's in her apartment, yapping on the phone, complaining about how much life sucks. And on the TV, there's like a bird special about, or there's like a special about killer birds or something like that, like or about how like there's like a bird problem or something. And so my mind is immediately thinking dinosaurs. Like, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna get killed by a bird? Kind of
Okay.
happened, but not really. They kind of just died because of their own stupidity, but still, like.
So I do think it was something supernatural-ish too, because something we haven't touched on was there was that van that the
Yeah,
guy saw when he was going on a little walk. There
yeah.
was a van, so there were some other campers around the area. And then
Oh
later
yeah,
in the film, they find the van submerged in the ocean, people
yeah.
dead in it. The camp that they
Oh
found that they were camping at was also abandoned. So it's like, okay, something
yeah,
strange. Like even not with just these fuck ups,
yeah. No,
something
that
strange is going on in this
that
jungle.
that's exactly why I love this movie so much, because like that's totally happening. But these two people are so like wrapped up in their superficial
Yeah,
human issues.
self-involved bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have zero to do with anything nature related. That they end up failing to survive a supernatural nature situation, or a situation where nature actually does become like a serious threat, where nature actually does fight back.
yeah,
They're wrapped up in their human issues, and it's a tale as old as time. Like we've seen it in other movies. I mean, that's kind of what the movie Cujo's about.
Mhm.
But I don't know, I do love a movie that can say a lot while doing little. And this just kind of had the feeling of like a, I don't know, like a good short story almost, but turned feature length. Like I could imagine this being like a short story about like a shitty couple who
I
go
think it
on a
might have been,
forced vacation.
honestly.
It feels like it could have been, right? Like,
I think like it was like a short little film they made feature length, and then they did it into a
yeah,
long. They remade it too in the 2000s with Jim Caviezel, even I think.
okay. Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Yeah, Nature's Grave, I think it was called.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a kind of a silly title, but
Yeah.
um, I'm sort of curious about that one, but I don't know. It's probably not any good. Um, I don't know. This one, I mean, it didn't go in the direction I thought it would go. I could definitely see it not being for everybody, because the couple really, they are the most annoying people ever, and they're annoying in like kind of a realistic way too. That's sort
Yeah.
of what makes it hard to watch, is because like a lot of this movie sort of depends on your ability to tolerate people that just suck at living. you know? And but I don't know, there was a lot that I got from this film. I or got out of it. Like I like the way it did the backstory. I like that there was always a little mystery going on. Like I like the whole thing with the dugong kind of teleporting around their campsite. That
Yeah.
was
That was.
weird.
Yeah, that was a supernatural thing because it was like the same already dead dugong, and it just like kind of popped up into their camp basically somehow, and you're like,
Yeah,
how did that happen?
yeah, like it's totally a supernatural situation, and they're just oblivious to, or they're just too fraught up, and it's too big for them. They're
Mhm.
they're up against Mother Nature herself. you can't really survive that.
Yeah, and I was
She'll
happy
catch up.
too with the way the lady died because this was after like it happened. I don't know how the situation of events occurred, but I thought he actually may have like what because he shot the shot the harpoon gun into the darkness. I thought he actually may have accidentally shot his dog, which would have been super fucked up. But no,
Yeah,
he accidentally shot his wife. I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
because he
What
does
happened?
lose the dog eventually. Like
Yeah,
he's just trapped in the car that gets stuck in the mud, and he just looks back at it. Like I don't see why he couldn't have opened the door and
yeah,
helped it out because it wasn't like nothing was attacking him. He just got stuck in the mud and just started running away from the dog and the truck.
yeah.
So
I hated that.
I'd like to think the dog got out and got a better life in the jungle.
Well, the thing is, like that, it didn't happen. That whole situation didn't happen that far away from the road. So,
Yeah.
like, more than likely, what would happen is they would go there. They'd have to investigate. They'd probably find the vehicle. They'd have to find the body of the girlfriend because she's missing. There'd be a good search, probably like
Yeah. And they found,
probably
yeah.
about 24 hours after.
And
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
sure they
like
got.
a road he got like a off the road that he got
Yeah,
stuck onto. So some type of
at least one
trail.
of the windows had to have been cracked a little bit. I mean, I'm
But it
sure the
was
dog was
sad. The
fine.
dog was like, "What the fuck, man? What are you doing, dude?"
Right? Like at that point, I was thinking, yeah, maybe that dog would have been better off left at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of the movie, Zach? You can be honest, because like honestly,
Yeah.
I notice you've been kind of quiet.
Yeah. Um, it was okay. Definitely wasn't what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah,
It's pretty slow for me. I don't know.
That was my biggest gripe. Yeah.
Like I knew they were gonna die because they were so annoying, but I don't know, it just wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be.
that makes sense.
Like I expected, it's a animal movie. I expected them to be mauled or something. I don't
At
know.
least one of them. Yeah.
Something a little more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been
But
cooler. Yeah.
yeah.
I bet there is like a movie like this where that happens. There's got to be,
Maybe the remake.
Yeah,
Oh
who
yeah,
knows?
maybe. Oh, I would love to see Jim Caviezel get attacked by a bird. Maybe I will watch the remake. uh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I dug it honestly. Like it was my kind of movie. I really love. I would watch it again 100%. Like I just found it really entertaining. And I like movies about miserable people. Um, I like watching movies where you get to watch people you hate die.
That's
Yeah,
always good. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, although I can definitely see how like one would be disappointed because they die in relative. They, like I said earlier, they die kind of because of their own stupidity in the end, rather than anything that nature. I mean, nature does end up inadvertently causing them to die, but you know, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I loved it enough to give it like a full 5. Like,
Oh wow,
Mm.
really? Holy shit.
yeah, this was amazing. Like, I like
Yeah.
Australian movies. I don't know. I feel like I'm onto something here. Like,
There you go. Shit. Yeah, no, I didn't like it all that much. Like I did find the characters good in a or shitty kind of way. It was well acted, well filmed, like cinematography was great. It was just boring
yeah.
for most of it. And
It also wasn't like a bad movie. Like that's the thing. Like
no.
since most of
Yeah.
the movies we're talking, I thought it was going to be kind of a bad movie because I knew it like Australia, it wasn't really a very well liked film, but um yeah, it probably was more like not well liked because of why you're just like describing kind of the
Yeah.
slow pace. Yeah,
And I don't mind slow paced, but it's still just it has to have a nice ending to it, which it really besides the guy's death, it didn't really have. And then yeah, it's just kind of blah. I'd give
Yeah.
it, I personally 2 stars just because of its
That's what I gave it
boringness.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 2, but it's still something I'd rewatch.
Yeah,
Now that
like
I now that I know what it is.
it was well
Yeah.
done, well put together and everything, and the characters themselves were interesting at being just complete miserable people, but it's kind of still just boring overall. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I could definitely it is kind of like it is definitely a slog, and like like we were talking about earlier, the movie does take a lot of detours throughout the course of it.
And the
Um
heavy handedness with littering bad. It's like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, and her leaving the chicken out and then getting all angry. It's like, okay, yep. Uh-huh. Speaking of shitty people, uh what all right, so both you gave that a 2. Okay, so yeah, I guess we'll talk about your movie next, Zach.
Yeah. Uh, I chose Calamity of Snakes.
oh man. This one was rough for me to watch, honestly.
Yeah,
Me, me
I
too.
I I said something about it last time, but I didn't know it was gonna be that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I
straight
mean,
up trigger warning, it's bad if you like animals. Like I'm not a vegan or vegetarian, but it
Yeah,
does.
yeah. I remember because this so I guess when this came out, it was on like this cat. So you know how like Britain had like the video nasties where it was just like movies that were kind of banned from being like rented. I guess in Hong Kong they had like category 3 films, which like a lot of them were just like weird porn, I guess, and stuff like that.
Anything to do
um,
with Winnie the Pooh.
yeah. But there were some like I guess like gory sex horror type movies on there too, and also Happy Together for some reason was on category 3 list. The Wong Kar Wai movie. I don't know why that movie's not. I guess because the relation because of like the gay stuff, but it's not like a graphic film or anything. So,
Yeah, they
but
do hate them gays that were there.
yeah, that's true. But Calamity of Snakes though is on the category 3 list, and it's not because of sex content.
It should be rightfully so. Yeah, it's fucked up. I did not like it.
This was like a perverse because like I looked it up and I guess it had like most animals killed or something like that. I don't remember exactly. And so but
Within the first 30 seconds.
yeah.
yeah, like this movie is kind of like a good like maybe half of this movie is just nothing but like well, okay, we could talk about it. But yeah, go ahead.
I'll say just trigger warning. Real animals were killed during the making of this movie. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so apologies. I didn't know it was gonna be this bad.
No worries. It's an
Believe me,
experience.
it
It's
was definitely an experience. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't regret watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that should
Yeah.
needs to be not necessarily needs to be seen, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There's nothing like it. It's definitely. I mean, it's the worst thing ever for me.
I think it might be like I think just in terms of things we've done, maybe my least favorite film we've watched.
Yeah. I mean, the
Like
thing is,
the
like,
film itself was like all right, put together better than like whatever those shitty movies that are just bad movie. But like this was like an actual hard film to watch.
yeah, it felt kind of evil. Like
Yeah.
the thing is, like, for me, snakes are like, I mean, they're my favorite animal. I think they're like one of the most beautiful creatures on the face of the earth. And so yeah, you can imagine like I had a pretty tough time with this one. I
Yeah,
did need to take
I don't mind them, but I know
Yeah.
they're one of the most hated as well. Like everyone
That's the
hates
thing,
snakes.
yeah.
So, but I
Yeah,
don't
like
mind them. I think they're cool.
Yeah.
I'm not like
Um
snake person, but still watching this is like, oh, okay.
It was brutal.
yeah. Like if you want to see like how much people hate snakes, like just watch Calamity of Snakes and you'll get the whole scope of snake hatred. This is like snake holocaust. Like
Mhm.
actually, the movie Cannibal Holocaust, that had a scene in it with a snake getting killed in it that I remember. Like up until seeing this, I thought was like the worst or one of the worst things ever. But this kind of was like 1,000 times worse than that movie, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I don't know. The turtle scene in Cannibal Holocaust, though.
oh yeah, that was horrible. Of course, yeah, no, that was definitely like really. That was both like disgusting to sit through, and also like really emotional too. And like sure, like I mean, I guess they've shown worse stuff by this point on like National Geographic and Animal Planet and stuff. Like I remember when I was a kid, I watched this animal documentary where they like cut open an alligator and all this stuff. And so like I understand that like that is something that happens in other countries and stuff. So
Yeah, like in this movie specifically, like when they were at the food market, I wasn't necessarily too weirded out by the snake. He was selling just snake meat. That's like, okay, I understand people eat snakes, and
yeah.
I wasn't weirded out by that part of killing snakes, but the rest of it just seemed excessive and also not needed to be done on a movie.
Well, like it was kind of it like reached a kind of perverse level where it wasn't just showing footage, it was showing like close up slow motion of like literal snake hearts and gallbladders getting ripped out, and like there was even like this one sequence where it was like a mongoose just
I
or
skipped
actually
through
several
most of it because it was so long.
it went on
Like,
forever, and there was
Yeah,
like this really it had this really intense like upbeat kind of ethereal music playing
mhm.
while it was happening, and there was just like mongooses killing snakes for like 10 minutes. It
Yeah,
was
and
really
I
strange.
literally like, okay, I get it, and I did skip through like to the end of it. I was like,
Yeah,
fuck, man.
this is definitely one that would be easy to fast forward to, I think.
yeah. There is a cruelty version on the Blu-ray somehow. I don't
Oh,
know
oh
how
cool.
long it
Is it
would
like
be,
5 minutes
yeah.
long?
um I mean, there were a few parts in this movie where there weren't snake killing, but
There's
not
people
a lot, really.
dancing,
Yeah, there was a
dancing in
disco
a
dancing scene.
ballroom.
Yeah. Is there even a plot summary for this movie? Um,
No.
There
okay.
couldn't be. It's
All right.
just
Well, well, do you want to try to describe the plot, or should we just try and wing it?
There's not too much of a plot.
no.
Yeah.
So basically they're constructing luxury apartments or yeah, or a hotel or something. I didn't quite get
I
what
think
it
it's
was.
apartments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they
I think.
uncover, well, first of all, before that even happens, the lady had a dream about people getting attacked by snakes.
Yeah.
And then cut to the construction scene.
Yeah.
They
Good
uncover,
old
Yeah.
foreshadowing, yeah.
yeah, they uncover thousands of snakes and basically just start killing them.
Yeah. They literally start crunching the snakes up with construction equipment. Like,
Yeah, it's like threw in hundreds of snakes into a pit.
I was
yeah.
shocked. Because like,
Yeah.
okay,
Same.
they're just gonna cut to, rubber snakes getting smashed up. And then I was like, wait, no, that's real shit.
Yeah. Not only are they real, but like you see like extended shots of like the snakes like being chopped up and like still moving, and like snakes that hadn't been chopped up yet crawling over dead snakes, and then those snakes getting chopped up. Like there's like you're literally watching snakes getting tortured and killed by like construction workers.
Yeah.
Like they're using like the machine and just like crunching them, and you're seeing the snakes getting like decapitated and mutilated while they're still alive, and it goes on for a long time
Yeah,
too.
like 5-10 minutes probably.
Yeah, like there are several just long montages of snake death. Like there's even a scene of like somebody with a sword like this happens like
Yeah.
way late in the movie.
Way later. Yeah. Yeah.
Like somebody with a snort. So you know how like people used to do like I don't even know who I'm talking to. Like whoever's listening to us talk about Calamity of Snakes. You remember the Fruit Ninja thing
Yeah.
where like people like chopped
That
up fruit?
app, that game
Yeah.
app. Yeah.
So like there's a scene in this movie where um a character does that with only with snakes. Like snakes are just getting tossed at him and he's chopping them up with a sword.
Snake Ninja.
Yeah. Like that happens for a long period of time. Like and so yeah, like you can imagine me, a snake lover, just sitting there, just with my face like I don't. I did. There were a lot of shots I couldn't even look at the screen. This is like, yeah, probably the most I've like cringed at a movie, possibly ever. Like this might be like the most wicked thing I've ever sat through. But there was a couple things in it that I did appreciate, and we can get to that. Okay, so they build the hotel, and it's pretty quick that they start having snake problems.
Yeah, because after that, well, they briefly talk about that they're going to cut corners to build it or something. I don't know if
Yeah.
that ever had anything to do with anything later, but yeah,
Yeah.
just pretty much immediately cuts to when it's built and is about ready
Yeah.
to open.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that sounds about right. Yeah, there's okay, so they all right, so yeah, they kind of get a hold of like a what do you call it?
Like a
Like a hunter. Yeah.
Snake
snake.
charmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Snake charmer. Yeah, this is when the movie kind of turns into Jaws a little bit.
Because they theorize that snakes don't attack in packs. There must be a big old one that's commanding them, and there
Yeah,
is. There
indeed.
is.
Indeed there is. Yeah, this okay, so this I had no idea that this movie had stuff like this in it. Like it's kind of interesting because it has all this snake killing, but then it also has like a scene that is both campy and sophisticated.
Yeah, I love that
Kung
scene.
Fu fighting snakes. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like,
Yeah.
like it's supposed to be the big snake, but it's like paper mache.
yeah, it's just a puppet. Like if you look hard enough, you can see the strings.
Yeah,
Oh
just like
yeah.
floating in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I love the floating snake.
he's like smacking him with the tail. Like,
Yeah. It's like this big long scene. He bites off his fingers at one point. And I love that it kept on doing the same noise again and again. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, no, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. That fight scene.
yeah,
Pretty gnarly, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
but it was intercut with real snake.
There are snakes just crawling around in there too, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there were at the end where he like hung the snake. That was a real snake.
Oh
Mm,
man.
It looked like it to me.
really. Could have been, yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it
Damn.
past him, yeah.
Well, at this point, I mean, they've killed so many. Like, why stop it? Just like why spend the money to build one when apparently they can just get live ones and just kill them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming in China, probably cheaper to buy snakes than
Yeah.
make prosthetic ones.
Yeah.
Puppet
I mean,
ones.
actually, this movie does actually have quite a history to it of like a time when like animal rights kind of were at like a weird point in like Hong Kong cinema, and like I don't know, it's actually kind of an interesting story, but it's hard to summarize because there's a lot of movies. So but Hong Kong cinema just throughout the 80s and 90s was at sort of I mean there was a lot of experimental like odd types of movies coming out, and yeah, this one seems to be one of the more obscure ones. Like it was only recently kind of restored and released, by our lovely friends at Unearthed Films.
yeah,
And actually, it makes sense that they released it too because they've been putting out a lot of Category 3 films recently. Like didn't they put out Untold Story as well?
yeah. And Dr. Lamb.
Yeah, Dr. Lamb, Evil Dead Trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then I think they even put out I think they may have even put out Tokyo Decadence. So
Yeah.
holy crap. Um yeah, so I mean, so it's kind of cool that this movie actually like that this movie has even been like that somebody was even took the time to restore it in the first place, because otherwise it like I could easily see something like this deteriorating in a vault somewhere, because it is pretty obscene. Um
Oh yeah.
It's wildly obscene, yeah.
yeah. Like 80s level obscene, it's hard to even describe. Like you have to see it to believe it, but you kind of don't want to see it at the same time. So
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't like snakes, it's probably but like animals in general, probably still a hard watch.
oh yeah.
I'd have to imagine.
Yeah. And I think actually on our films that sales of this movie, they are donating to like snake charities too. So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
yeah. Um so that kind of makes up for it. But so yeah, it's all right. So do you guys want to talk about the party scene?
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, they think they clear out all the snakes, and then they have this like housewarming kind of party. I
Yeah,
think
Yeah.
like
that
an opening ceremony for whatever for the apartment
Yeah.
building. Yeah.
Yeah. All because they thought that one snake dude was like did his job correctly. That guy who was like covered in snakes and holding them on his tongue and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and in that too, I think it was like, must have been biting real snakes and ripping them in half, real
yeah.
snakes.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Yeah.
every possible way you can imagine a snake dying happens in this movie. They get bit, they get their heads bitten off by people, they get split open, dissected, bisected, gassed,
Skinned.
drowned, hung, set on fire. Like everything that you can imagine that could bad that could happen to a snake happens to snakes in this movie, and usually by like the dozens. Like they kill a lot of snakes at once. So, or killed by a mongoose. I think the mongoose kills at least half the snakes in the movie. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, but that guy though he pulls a snake out of his throat, like he swallowed a snake and then pulls it out. It's like
Yeah, he
that
was
whole
like in a.
time.
It was like he's a.
Poor snake.
Yeah, it was a show, and he was like in a box of snakes too. That was he was covered in.
Yeah,
Like how
that's
they
one
held the box for him for a few seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
that was funny. They're
That
like,
was
oh, oh,
cool.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. All the characters in this movie get covered in snakes. So
Or just rolling on top of them.
yeah, or rolling on top of them, or getting them thrown at them, dumped down their shirts. It's just snake central.
Yeah, I don't remember how the snakes get to the party though. Was it
Okay,
just
well,
to just randomly start? I
I
feel like
think
that's
like
what happened.
I think the big guy pokes a hole through the ground, and they all start coming out of the ground.
yeah,
I think that's kind of
pretty
how it
much.
happens.
Yeah, and like me, and basically up until that point, you just watch the people in charge of the hotel, kind of just be oblivious. You have like characters acting really stupid. Like one mom like gets their daughters away from the window because they think they see people getting attacked by snakes, but then she's like, "Oh, you can't see very well. Don't look out the window." Um,
Oh, it was the guy that jumped off the window or jumped off
Uh,
the roof
yeah,
because he was covered in snakes. And they're like, "Is that he was covered in snakes?" And he's like, "No, go back to work."
yeah, that's funny.
They're like waiters or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, there's like a weird joke involving this kind of large lady where they're like make kind of
yeah, there's a lot of fat jokes.
yeah, there's a lot of fat jokes. Like there's even like a part where they like cut back and forth between her eating food and like a pig eating. Like it's like
Oh
really
yeah.
weird kind of 80s
Yeah.
humor.
Yeah, it was the comedy and then it was weird. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, actual footage of snakes getting killed. Here's a little comedy bit.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like really bad comedy.
Yeah. Like,
It's like Keystone Cop level.
like there was like one of that guy was always in the suit and the
The white
glasses.
suit. Yeah, the old
Yeah,
guy with the white suit. Yeah.
yeah, he like gets scared by one, and then his hair like does the cartoony thing,
Yep.
Yeah.
stands up on end.
Yeah, that was crazy. Um, let's see. Yeah, like there's like this whole part where they're in the parking garage, and then they attack. Like, there's that one guy who he like gets locked in his car. But yeah, eventually they get inside the hotel and just basically start kind of just swarming everybody. Like,
Yep.
I don't know, it happens pretty fast. So.
Yeah, I don't know, that whole section of the movie is kind of a blur. It's kind of just the same shit over and over
Mhm.
again. People
Yeah,
getting snakes thrown at them, people rolling around in snakes.
yeah. There's like one part where they try to they all try to get in the elevator and the doors open and it's like the scene in The Shining with the blood, only instead it's just like thousands upon thousands of snakes just covering everybody. Just
Yeah.
literally just hundreds of snakes everywhere. And eventually, the exterminators show up. So we get to see more snakes getting gassed. Um
It wasn't. It was just firefighters too. They just
oh
called
yeah,
up,
they were firefighters.
just putting
Um
fire extinguishers on them
yeah,
for half of it, and then
yeah.
I
And they
guess they
go,
have. I guess firefighters also have flamethrowers.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, who knew that firefighters could also start fires?
it's their snake
Well,
unit.
yeah, yeah. So you do eventually get the part where like they're going down the hallway, just lighting every snake in sight up. There's one part where this I mean, the movie is not really too gory. I mean, there are some kind of gruesome snake bites in the movie,
Besides
which are kind of
snake
cool. But
gore, there's a lot of snake
yeah,
gore.
definitely a lot of snake gore, but putting that aside, there's not a lot of people gore really, other than people getting bitten up. But there's a few cool looking dead bodies, and there's like this one part where this one lady's screaming and yelling. She's like covered in snake bites and getting covered in snakes. She's yelling
She's
at her
like yelling,
husband.
"Help!" It's the dude with the fucking samurai sword too.
Yeah,
And she's like, "Help me, help me!" And he's just like, "Nah, peace."
that, and he runs away. And of course, as he's running out the door, he decides to just casually, decapitate a snake on his way out. Um, it's like it gets to the point in this movie where it's like every shot is just snakes getting chopped up. But yeah, the people run up the stairs, the snakes start coming down the stairs, they run down the stairs, they get trapped in different rooms. Firefighters go floor by floor gassing the snakes, and then eventually they get to one floor where there's a large python guarding the hallway. So they're like, "Oh, we can't go any further. A python's blocking the way," as if they're in a fucking video game or some shit. And so like, "Oh, gotta send more people." So then this is when people start walking down the hallway, torturing them with flamethrowers.
They should have just burned the whole building down at that point. I mean, they're doing so much damage to the building in general. Just
Yeah,
like,
it's like
fuck it.
at a certain point, it's like, is it really worth it to be killing all these snakes? Like, you're wasting so many resources. Um, and but of course the film does kind of end in a kind of interesting way where you
It
see
ends
this guy.
abruptly, but
Yeah,
yes.
it ends very abruptly, where like the hotel owner, I don't even know how to describe the last shot. Like he's like
I don't even know if he was like the designer, I think, that was kind of against all of this snake
oh, he
killing
was.
too.
Oh
I think
shit.
that, I mean, it was hard to tell a lot of the main
It was like a
characters.
foreman or something.
Something
Yeah, and
like
he was
that.
the one
Yeah,
that didn't want to cut corners, didn't want to kill all the snakes, but
yeah,
also was the guy with the samurai sword slicing them up at,
yeah.
yeah, at the end.
But the snake gets lit up, and he kind of wrestles it on the ground as it's burning, and so he catches on fire. So it's a man and a snake burning together on the floor. It was just kind of a moment that I thought was like, whoa, that's kind of interesting. Like, I've never seen anything like that in a movie before. Like, what the hell's that all about? And then that's the shot that it ends on, and it's like, oh,
All right.
Calamity of Snakes.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of Hong Kong movies seem to do that, just end abruptly.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them,
But this one definitely was quite interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. this was like a really wild one. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, very intriguing though. I mean, I like just kind of for what it is, like the fact that it even exists is very compelling to me. Like it is an oddity for sure. Like it is what I would call a cinematic oddity that is morally dubious for absolutely positively.
Mhm.
Um, but also rather hard to describe, which is I don't know. I do kind of appreciate that. So
Yeah. Yeah, aside from the killing of the snakes, I thought it was pretty good.
yeah, I mean, I obviously didn't like all the snake death. That's like that was too much. But you know, but otherwise though, I mean, it was actually pretty well made for the type of movie it was. You know, which I wouldn't say it was like successful at being like comedic, but it was successful at being compelling. Like it was there was always something going on. Um,
Yeah, I think
you know,
they should have went more like schlocky with it.
I agree.
Did more of the puppet snakes instead of the real ones,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, yeah, because like I don't know, mostly this movie kind of made me mad, you know, because I'm watching these snakes getting killed, and all it does is make me mad at the characters, but like it's not like it's the actual characters doing it; it's really more the filmmakers. So it's like,
Yeah, I was just
so
mad at the filmmakers for the whole
yeah,
thing.
you know, so it's like yeah, I get mad at the filmmakers, but the film itself does have some entertaining aspects.
And it's
So
like, you know, a different era and a completely different culture too. So it's an
yeah,
interesting like view on it, but it's still hard to take in.
yeah, I mean, I can't really quite take it in. I would say like it's definitely well made for what it was for what it is. You know, like you know, I guess like three would be like I mean about right because it does succeed at what it's doing. But I certainly wouldn't watch it again. Like it's it's a one and done deal for me. I
Yeah.
gotta run away from the calamity. So
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it.
yeah,
I'd give it like a one
yeah.
just because it is pretty brutal to watch, man.
Yeah, maybe the animal cruelty free version if you have to. Like,
Yeah. Or if you're donating, if it's one of those versions where they do donate to some nice animal rights
yeah,
fund or whatever, yeah, go ahead if you're willing to see that stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, I gave it a 3. Probably would have been a 4 without the killings, but
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a frustrating thing because, like, at the same time, I almost feel like if it didn't have all the snake killings in it, we probably would never have heard of it. Like, it probably wouldn't exist. So it's almost like the fact that there's so much snake killing in it is also kind of what gives it its notoriety. Like, it's the reason why why that was sort of like the publicity that was sort of what made. I mean, we all know that like controversy sells, you know. I mean, the Last Temptation of Christ, when the Catholic Church condemned that movie for blasphemy, it ended up, you know, being one of the highest grossing films as a result. And so like so yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, when a movie does like push boundaries and break like kind of yeah, when a film does like you know push boundaries in a big way, then obviously people are going to be really curious to watch it and stuff like that. So it's even though it's definitely the part of the movie that kind of ruins it, it is also sort of
The reason why you should
yeah.
watch it, I guess. Yeah.
And you know, I would imagine that like this movie actually probably would make a really good case for like why there probably shouldn't be animal cruelty for like being made for film because this film doesn't really like it doesn't really do a very good job of making it look good. It's actually like I mean it's pretty ugly stuff. Like I feel like even people who hate snakes couldn't sit through something like this. I mean
Yeah.
it's so I feel like if anything, maybe like this movie would be a good deterrent for,
Yeah, it
or a motivator.
might make some snake lovers out of snake haters. You know?
Yeah, possibly. All it did was make me want to save more snakes. Like, so kind of like Free Willy, how like everybody saw that movie and all like wanted to save whales. Like after that, I mean, also that kind of happened with Star Trek 4, but still, like, um, this is the Free Willy of snake movies.
All right, yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, the cruelty-free cut is only 10 minutes shorter.
Oh, okay.
Huh. Wonder what they did then.
Yeah.
They probably had to very meticulously cut, is my guess. So, um, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of interesting to think about.
Might have to
But
check it out at some point.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if they did it very carefully, they could pull it off. There was a animal cruelty-free version of Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and actually, apparently they did a good job with that. So, because I know a lot of people who've only seen that version and still found the film really effective. So,
I haven't seen that. I've always wanted to.
oh yeah, it's an interesting movie. That'd be one I would be curious to revisit at some point. So.
Yeah, well, watch the cruelty-free version though. If you didn't like this one.
Oh yeah, Cannibal Holocaust has some pretty bad animal stuff in it. So
Yeah,
um,
I remember watching it for the first time when it came re-released on Blu-ray. I was like, how did we watch this in high school?
yeah, yeah, that it's crazy to think about. But yeah, okay. So I guess that concludes our discussion on Calamity of Snakes, which was a fascinating Hong Kong import, I must say. 1982, I think it was, or 1981. I forget what year.
82.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, 82. And all right, so now I guess we're going to talk about your movie now, Nick. Third and final.
My choice was Black Sheep, and
Yeah.
no, not the what's his name, fucking
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley, David Spade romp. It's 2006 New Zealand, so just right across the pond or whatever from the long weekend.
Excellent.
It's like so this is a black, I guess, dark horror comedy, like dark comedy horror movie. Similar in line with like your Tucker and Dale and Tucker versus Evil or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, kind of like the backwoods sort of. Although this is kind of a little bit, I guess, more country. Like it's or outward in the open. Like this kind of had a little bit of the Body Melt vibes, actually. Just because I noticed a lot of hills and stuff. So
yeah. And just a side note, have you guys seen Sorry to Bother You?
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a bit of that in this. Trying not to spoil that. Not trying not to spoil that. Like I liked this movie a lot, but also like Sorry to Bother You, so I don't want to spoil that either.
Yeah,
but
yeah, Sorry to Bother
You. They have
I,
something in common. I'll give you that. As fucked up as it is, but yeah.
Yeah, I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I did not expect that. I just expected killer sheep.
Yeah, this movie did a lot of things I didn't expect.
Yeah. I guess it's setting the scene as it starts out with, there's sheep farmers in New Zealand. Like the first scene is just them doing regular sheep stuff. The main character what's his name? Henry. You know,
Yeah.
he's a nice little kid. He I would call a just to say like Chekhov's dog kind of.
Yeah.
He has
That's
a
a
nice
good.
because I love shepherd dogs and stuff. I own a border collie, and like I just think that what I like watch those YouTube competition videos of them doing stuff. I think that's all cool shit. So he has like
Yeah.
he commands the little dog to do some shepherding. I was like, oh, that's sweet, nice. And it does come back to play a pivotal role. So that's why I was just like, oh, Chekhov's dog. um, but besides that, it's like a few minutes scene. He comes back to I don't know what he's looking for, but his brother's a bit sadistic. He fucking scares the shit out of him very disturbingly. Like this guy has mental issues because
Oh yeah.
he scares him by putting on a sheepskin, and not like a tanned processed sheepskin, like a fresh cut, like straight off the body sheepskin. He's
Yeah. He
covered in
pulls.
blood.
He pulls
And
a Freddy got fingered.
yeah. And it's just like, oh damn, what what is this? I mean, I'll say that's probably the most out there of I mean not like out there, but a little weird for sure. But
Yeah.
after that it does cut to 15 years later, like um where they're I mean, and during that it's just a brief little thing where their dad passes as well. So it's a fractured family basically, and
Yeah. You don't find out how he dies though. Not right away.
not
Like,
right away, no. It's just like, come your father, and then 15 years later.
yeah.
I mean, it's just a straight cut to like a taxi surrounded by sheep. It's Henry going back to his farm, and he's freaking out because like apparently what his brother did to him traumatized him for life. He
Yeah.
has ovinophobia, which is an actual real thing. I like paused it, Googled it. I guess there's
Yeah.
of course there is a fear of sheep. So
Yeah.
he has that.
Yeah.
um,
The sheep in this movie, by the way, did a great job. The ones that were like actual sheep did a good acting job. Like I'd say overall, like they some of them did a pretty good job at being creepy. Being creepy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think sheep are pretty manufactured in general at this point,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
by humans, because you have to shear them, which
Yeah.
seems like something nature wouldn't allow. But
Yeah.
so I think at this point they've been genetically bred enough that we kind of fucked them up.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of why this movie is interesting because it's an interesting concept for a monster. It's something
Yeah,
that
and
we
like the
sort of
main,
man-made, you know?
yeah, and like the older brother who's like the main bad guy of the movie does say is like we already fucked them up anyway, they need us, we kind of already genetically engineered them, because this is a movie about genetically engineered sheep to the extreme, but he's like, yeah, these are already like sheep in general already kind of, we already toyed with them enough that they
Yeah,
need shearing, they need human intervention or they'll die. So he does mention that.
yeah,
But
which I appreciated.
but the movie, yeah, basically follows the little brother. He's coming back for what we find out is his, his asshole older brother is unveiling some, like he's furthering sheep genetics kind of thing, and he's buying out his little brother's share of the farm, and he just needs him to come there, sign papers and whatnot, and bounce basically. But one thing leads to another. You have what happens in the movie.
Yeah,
um,
which I
and
appreciated.
yeah,
Because the concept seems like it'd be funny, but the movie actually does an interesting takes an interesting approach with it. Like it's not like slapstick type shenanigans, you know?
yeah, and I say it is pretty funny. Like I laughed a
Yeah,
bunch, especially because there's the other part of it, which I was just about to mention. Anyways, just the hippies. There's a couple of hippies, like your typical save the animals, stop messing or like stop testing on animals.
Yeah.
And the girl, like the female hippie, what's her name? Experience. She actually is probably the funniest character. Like she is a like this is I saw this on Tubi and I was surprised that they have this movie on there because it's I'd say above like on the top tier of Tubi movies you can see. Because it
Yeah.
was well shot, well acted, basically like the effects, the gore, the you know
Yeah. This is a really good.
monsters. Yeah. So like if you want to see a good Tubi movie, watch this one.
Yeah, I agree.
The effects were by Weta, who did Lord of the Rings.
Oh, those New Zealanders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
they also
wait,
do
does
like
that
Peter Jackson's movies too.
then I wonder because the like PETA organization that they mentioned, I think had the acronym WETA.
I think so. Yeah, I think I noticed that too.
I think they
Yeah.
snuck that in there. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't know that, but that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense then.
Yeah.
So
Weren't they
yeah, I'm
also in,
surprised.
like District 9 as well?
Think so.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the inciting incident is like these hippies trying to break in, a little like comically. Like
Yeah.
the dude's kind of a douchebag. He goes in, steals like this jar, the sheep jar fetus thing, and runs away. And like the girl's like, "What did we tell you? What are like the four rules?" And he's like, don't sneak in undetected." Yes, which he totally broke because he immediately got caught. And then second rule, just take some photographic evidence. And like
Gosh.
he
Yeah.
didn't do that. He just straight up stole the jar. Third rule, get out undetected. Failed on that. And like, and then she was just like the fourth rule, and he was like, kill them all type thing, like fuck the system kind of stuff. I don't think that was the actual rule or if they even said it, but they end up like getting chased by the scientists trying to get the jar back or whatever. It
Yeah.
breaks open. It breaks open. The little sheep fetus bites him. And that's kind of what spawns the whole. It's not like zombies. It's like it isn't like an infected movie where you get bit, you start turning into sheep monsters basically,
Yeah.
and the sheep get infected as well by the getting bit, and they just turn into murderous sheep.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're pretty intimidating too. They actually do like kill quite a few people. Like,
Mm-hmm. Quite a bit of people. Yeah, there's actually
yeah.
like most people in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Like pretty much most of the characters, all get pretty gory deaths. So
Yep.
that one guy gets his ear ripped out
Yeah,
by
that was
that was
brutal.
fun.
There's an even more disturbing scene as well, but we'll get to that one later.
Yeah, definitely.
um, so while this is going on, the brother's just kind of, visiting his old stomping grounds. He's getting taken on a tour by, a family friend who's, I don't know, one of the main farmhands, I guess, or whatever, who was pretty funny throughout the movie,
Yeah.
Tucker. He was a pretty
He was
funny guy. He was cool.
Yeah, I liked his character. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And at one point, like, I don't know if it's before or after, but like the hippie girl meets up with them, and like Tucker was like, "Hey, the safety's off," and she's like, he's trying to tell her where the safety is to turn it on and off. He's like, "No, a little further. No, come on, give it to me," and she does, and he's just like, "Man, dumbass."
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
basically
as
what.
if.
Right, yeah, that's basically what happens with her. You see her just join up with them just because of after that, because
Yeah, because she doesn't have a choice.
yeah, because she's just kind of out in the middle of nowhere with no car, nothing, and her boyfriend's missing.
Yeah.
Boyfriend, quote unquote.
Yeah.
He's eating rabbits in the middle of it because at that point, yeah, you see him eat a rabbit. He's all kind of starting to morph.
Yeah. His skin gets all weird and
Yeah.
yeah.
Animorphs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he starts looking like an Animorph cover.
So they're
Yeah.
driving around, yeah. They go back to the main like farmhouse. Some old dude, I guess that was just a guy to get killed off, gets killed off by one of the sheep randomly. And
Yeah, he gets like, was that the guy who gets his face ripped? Or no, is it
like
his
just
neck?
his neck, basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was it. And that was great.
Yeah, and then that's when like it's just one sheep at that point where it's just like bashing through the house, and they were
Yeah.
like they were questioning like, why are you scared, dude? And he's like, basically for this exact reason.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is like his worst nightmare. The idea of
Yeah.
sheep just
And they were
attack.
just like, oh, this he won't hurt anyone. And then they turn around and there's just a dead dude right in the corner, and they're like, shit.
Yeah, the dude has like this giant gaping hole. Like, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the gore in this movie, it's very wet, like very, very wet looking, like wet and sticky.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it for sure. It's good gore effects definitely throughout.
Yeah.
So they escape that little house just by they shoot that first one like twice. It's kind of
Yeah.
zombie-ish because it comes back, but they, sneak the way through. She uses some hippie voodoo on him because he's freaking out. She's like, be a tree,
Yeah.
calm down, meditate kind of stuff. So it gets him through. It's like a scene where they're now escaping on a truck.
Yeah.
But kind of like a long weekend, and there's a goddamn sheep in the truck attacking the driver.
Oh, it was great.
Which is Tucker, and the sheep just drive like he gets out into the back and they jump out of the truck, but the
At
sheep
one
just
point, he
kind of
tries to use the chainsaw, but he messes that up.
yeah, they keep saying like explaining how to use like you have to prime it, you have to pull the lever, you have to do
Yeah.
this, do that, and then
Yeah.
as soon as he actually does get it revved up, it just fucking flies out of his hand.
He just, yeah, halfway down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then they jump out, and the sheep's kind of, and it just kind of like shows the sheep driving the truck off the edge.
yeah, that was
And
pretty gnarly effect. Yeah, when he
yeah,
like smashes and yeah,
pretty realistic too, because it doesn't end in a big explosion. Because I don't think many of those really do explode. I'm assuming, but just like realistic car falling off a cliff.
yeah, yeah. And you see the sheep inside of it, like in the driver's seat the whole time too. And it's like
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. Yeah,
yeah. And
like it
this
looks
happened.
like from a distance you can kind of it almost looks like it's getting mangled. So
Yeah. And this is where we're revealed how his dad dies, because it's it's the same cliff that his dad apparently fell off and died.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which it is actually, I could totally see how somebody could fall off a cliff like that because it's slanted really weirdly. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like it goes up and then it goes like way down. So
Mm-hmm. So there's that. But in that kerfuffle, um, Tucker did get his foot bitten by that sheep that was in the truck.
mm,
And this is where we start to learn that, I don't know, sheep can, that the bites actually are turning people into sheep. Because he's like, when they're walking back to try and get back to like the farm or whatever, he's like, oh, my foot hurts. They take the boot off and it's just a hoof now. And you're like, oh shit, okay, some fucked up shit is happening. These hippies are right.
yeah, they're
Um,
turning into sheep zombies.
yeah. And they they get back to like uh and also there's just like farting sheep in all the movie too. I just looked at my notes, I was like, farting sheep. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's funny.
I did
Um
notice there was a lot of sheep flatulence. Yeah, that was kind of
yeah,
the big theme of the movie. You
there
know,
was a
they even did it during like the parts where they were eating people.
and and I wrote down a joke too while they were returning. It was like Henry's or someone says, "What about the sheep?" And he's like, "Fuck the sheep." And then Tucker's like, "We don't have time for that."
Yeah.
Implying that, there's sheep fucking, which is heavily implied later
Oh,
on, which
oh yeah.
is interesting to me from a New Zealand produced movie, because I hear, like, the Aussie New Zealand, one of the things Australians call New Zealanders are sheep fuckers. So I'm like,
Yeah. It is kind of unusual, yeah, how much like how this movie how not only like there's jokes about sheep uh fornication, but or interspecies sheep fornication, I guess it's the right word for it, but also like the fact that there's at least more than one character who has that kind of thing going on, or it is at least implied to. It's like, oh crap, all right, so this movie's
yeah.
kind of perverse on a couple different levels now. So
Yep.
it's like the whole in makes me think of that movie like Dead Alive or Brain Dead by Peter Jackson, where you get the two zombies who randomly start screwing on the dinner table or on the breakfast table, and then they have a zombie baby that's all deformed and gross. It's like, yeah, there you go.
um Eventually they get back to like the science area too, I guess.
Yeah.
Where they know they take the guy that's Tucker, they take him hostage just to,
Mhm.
experiment on him.
Yeah.
um I don't know exactly when, but also the older brother, the bad guy, gets bitten by the hippie boyfriend, who at that point is totally no, okay, it happens way earlier actually, when he's still human. He gets bitten.
Yeah.
And then they're escaping from the scientists while Tucker's getting, strapped down and experimented on.
Mm.
Um, they get thrown into like this pit where they're just tossing all the chemical waste sheep fetuses. Uh,
Yeah. That was gnarly.
yeah, the main Henry and the
Yeah.
experience. I mean, we just basically follow them throughout trying to get out of the mess.
She lights a candle to balance her hormones.
Yeah, some like herbal candle stuff.
Yeah, she's got all the hippie counterculture type stuff, lighting incense
And
and
that's
all that.
funny too. It's like, is that really helping your balance your hormones? And she's like, well, I don't know. I've just been, gone through the rigor, seen some sheep monsters thrown into a giant pit of death. Yes, it
Yeah,
is helping actually. Shut the fuck up.
yeah. But that
um,
candle ends up being useful.
yeah, because they find there's just that pit is actually leads to a cave system that the guy knows about, since, he's grown up on the farm, and there's a cave system underground they escape through.
Mm-hmm.
And they're chased by sheep throughout the caves as well. And they light a sheep on fire down there too. That
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Yeah, yeah. She
And
kind
then
of eventually starts sort of going from being like pro animal lover to almost sort of like being like, yeah, kill them all. Eventually
yeah,
she does kind of take that turn. She
yeah,
even kills
especially
a
with
sheep.
especially with that, like, one of the cool characters was the old lady, Mrs. Mack. She's she like turns her into a badass. Like, she's a
Yeah,
badass, and then she turns the experience into one too a little bit
yeah.
later. But
I love
she's
badass old ladies in these kinds of
yeah,
movies.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Um, I think maybe around this point they're chased by um uh the guy hippie, her her boyfriend, like he
Yeah,
call like, it's jokingly throughout, like, because they kind of like the two have a little bit of a spark, and he's like,
yeah,
so do you have a boyfriend? And she's like, kind of. And then after they get out of the cave, they're chased by him, because, he's still like wearing his hippie clothes, and they realize it is it is the dude, and they're just, chased throughout, and they eventually get away from him, and he's like, so that's your boyfriend? And she's just like, no, he's not my boyfriend.
yeah. Oh man. Um, yeah, and he also he has like a very I don't know who they got to play him, whoever they cast, but like his face is perfect because he looks like permanently horrified. Like he just naturally looks like a horrified person.
Hmm.
Like he's almost like if you took Gael Garcia Bernal's face and like twisted it to make it look like he's like the most paranoid person on the face of the earth. That's basically the face of this person.
Yeah. And at that point, he's fully sheep monster. And that's when we're getting like, oh, okay, they're going this route. I thought
Oh
they were
yeah,
just going with killer sheep, but no, they're going with fully mutated. Well, you get a little taste of it with the hoof on Tucker or whatever, and
yeah,
um, yeah, we see there is like let's cut with like the scientists actually like doing like little experiments on him
yeah,
on Tucker, and we see that there isn't antidotes because he is turning and stuff. He's like almost straight up full sheep, but she
yeah,
like injects him with some type of antidote, and he turns back to a human. And at this point, she realizes that the main Angus dude, like the whole reason this is happening is because he's trying to sell this perfectly genetic sheep that he
yeah.
fucked.
Of course, yeah.
He's
This,
just trying to like make like it's a whole investor thing. He's gathered investors to help him, I don't know, buy out his, or just help him fund this stuff and be like the next wave of sheep engineering and stuff. But she realizes, oh, he's gonna be turning into a sheep, a sheep monster. So she's goes to try and save him with some antidote stuff, but she gets killed by
yeah,
sheep.
that was brutal.
Like just like right out the gate, she just turns and sees like one of the main scientists being eaten by sheep, and
Yeah, and she just
it's like,
looks annoyed, like, oh,
oh
God.
god, of course. All right, I guess I have to do this myself. But she gets
That was
just run
sad.
down by sheep. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Ah, yeah, so many great death scenes.
yeah. There's a lot of good ones in this.
Yeah.
I guess I
The
mean,
brother's actually kind of a good villain, I think.
yeah, he is. He's like an asshole that doesn't give a shit about anyone but himself and
Yeah.
and his little sheep girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah.
uh and we're kind of given glimpses throughout that if you're bitten by the sheep won't attack you too, which comes into play in a little bit. So yeah,
Like in World War Z with Brad Pitt or whatever.
yeah. Yeah. So he's like I get just skipping around. I guess it's kind of doesn't matter the actual order. The brothers like showing off the actual presentation that he was planning on doing to these investors.
Yeah.
But a whole like, and I think at this point his hoof is, I don't remember exactly if his hand turned into a hoof yet.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but at this point you like hear a rumbling, and then just
Yeah.
like straight out of what movie was that? The
Oh, in
baboon.
the shadow of Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, straight out of that, just sheeps come down the mountain and start attacking all the investors, and
Yeah. When I
lots
saw
of
that
good,
shot,
cool deaths.
what was that?
There was lots of cool, like sweet, gory deaths and stuff with that
Yeah.
during that scene. Yeah,
Yeah, that was one of the best parts. But when they were coming down the hill, though, yeah, that was exactly what I thought of was that
yep,
shot in that movie. I was like, oh my God, it's just
yep,
like
me too.
Shadow. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun scene. Like one of them was like trying to beat one of the sheeps off with his own legs and stuff,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I
yeah,
love that. Yeah. I love movies that have like scenes where people just get eaten by whatever. Like, um, I mean, my favorite scenes in the George Romero zombie movies are the scenes where the zombies eat the, because most of the characters in those movies suck anyway. So like watching them get eaten is, it's like the best, and the makeup is always good with like Tom Savini and all that stuff. Um, like Day of the Dead has some of like the all-time best death scenes I've ever seen in a movie, and so yeah, like I always appreciate in like movies when they like have just a scene where people just go nuts with makeup effects, so or whatever they happen to have on hand. So
okay, yeah. So I think it is that. So I'm just going through my notes. It is a little later that his hoof turns into a hand
okay,
because it's after the attack. He's
He's hiding or whatever.
He's in the house with his sheep girlfriend and pantsless, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just like at this point, he's like, okay. His
Yeah.
brother comes in just because he's been chased by the hippie, the boyfriend hippie. And he's just trying to get a weapon, and he's just like, "What are you doing here, man?" And he basically says, "Yeah, I." He basically comes out and says, "Yeah, I put my." It is a human sheep hybrid. It was my DNA. Our he says semen,
Yeah.
but our DNA as well because they're brothers. It's like no, and he just
Yeah.
gives the gun to him and bounces.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
just at
it was
that
like,
point, yeah, and it's just at that point where he like just kind of walks out amongst all the sheep eating people, and you notice like, oh, he's not getting attacked. Okay, so you realize that if you're bitten by a sheep, you probably they won't notice you or something.
yeah.
And this plays
They,
out, and what's that?
they sense you as being a sheep.
Yep, yeah. And then this also plays out into the like kind of the finale. We're there now where him, Mrs. Mack, and Experience, they're trying to escape. They do, but in like an ensuing fight scene, it's noticed that he got bitten by the hippie boyfriend, and he's like, ah, crap. So
Yeah.
he's like, all right, I'll create a diversion so you guys can escape. And so he steals a sheepskin from like her car and kind of just crawls through the sheep.
Yeah. That was
And,
funny.
and he's like mounted by one of them too.
Yeah.
And he just like because there's also like a shearing, like a trophy shearing that they
Yeah.
got. That is,
Yeah,
yeah,
because it is a skill, you know.
yep. And eventually he just doesn't even need it because he realizes like, yeah, they just kind of don't even give a shit because I got bitten by him. They sense that I'm a sheep, you know?
Yeah.
And then that's when the badassery of the two ladies happens too, is
Yeah. At the end.
like they Experience says, "Oh, I'll stay back and help Henry or whatever. You skedaddle." And then like Mrs. Max says, "Nah, I'll help you too. You never shot a gun. I'll teach you how." And then you just see them driving through the crowd of sheep people and sheeps, and Experiences out the sunroof just blasting blasting the sheep mutants. It's just like hilarious. And she's just
Yeah.
like, "Hell yeah."
Yeah, that was great.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this movie was really hysterical, actually. Like,
Yeah, it was comedy as well. That's why I like compared it like something like Tucker Dale versus Evil or
yeah.
whatever. It's
Yeah,
had
I
a
mean,
lot of dark comedy, but a lot
yeah,
of
but
dark
you get what I
like
mean
gory
about, like,
horror.
yeah, like you get what I mean about like the whole deadpan thing, rather than it being just like goofy, kind of
Yeah,
like silly
satirical stuff. There's a lot
sheep.
of just like
Yeah,
yeah,
like instead the sheep are actually super deadly, and
yeah,
it's like the killer rabbit in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like the reason that scene is the funniest scene ever is because of just like how deadpan it is and how they're
yeah.
like, it's
Like
just a
Jesus
little rabbit
Christ.
jumping all over people. Like that's so funny. Yeah, like
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. And I guess then the reason why he has to stop and he's sacrificing himself is, yes, he's bitten, but also his brother's trying to escape on a plane and he could infect the rest of the world, so he has to go and stop and deal with that. But um he ends up like turning, like he starts the plane, gets it ready to go get his girlfriend, his
mhm.
sheep girlfriend.
Yeah, genetic mutant.
But during that he turns and is confronted by his brother.
Yeah,
And I mean
his
throughout the
face.
movie, yeah. And he's like trying to talk him down, but he's too far gone. But this is where the dog, like there is the dog kind of following him throughout. He's not in all the scenes and everything, but he shows up, the shepherd dog. And this is where I say this is why I call it Chekhov's dog, is because he basically he like uses his boyhood knowledge from when he was, you know, a little sheep herder back in the day. He's like, he gives the dog commands to, you know, command his mutated sheep brother to just, you know, sit and stay and stop like the sheep brother in his tracks. And all the while, because he did start the airplane, it's going around in like circles because it's unmanned. And
Yeah.
and then so like the dog stops his brother in his tracks, and then he just gets mowed down by the unmanned helicopter.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was pretty gnarly.
Yep. Yep. And at the very end, you know, because we do see that there is an antidote, of course, way back when, and it was used on Tucker. He comes in on like a 4-wheel and just as Henry or what, yeah, Henry is starting to change. He just like injects him with the antidote, and he's all normal and shit. And he's like, "Oh, nice, thanks." And
Yeah.
it ends kind of, you know, on a nice, good note. They're turning all like they turn the hippie guy back into himself, and you see like
Yeah.
the group of uh bank investors and whatnot huddled in like a sheep pen, turned back to normal as well.
Yeah.
And they like, and there's like the part where like before that, like they use the dog to herd up all the infected sheep, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, we can't, how much of that do you got? Not enough for all of them. And
Yeah.
then throughout the movie there's the farting, and there's like
Yeah.
methane, and there's a lot of farting sheep, so he just, you know, does one of those lighter chucks into the
Yeah.
fucking
You gotta
group
have
of
the
sheep,
lighting
and
fart or fighting fire or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, farting fireball explosion of sheep.
Yeah. Excellent. You know,
Hmm.
so oh man, yeah. Lighting farts. I mean,
It's
it,
mileage in these.
like that's just one of the funniest. Yeah. I don't know. So that it just couldn't have happened at a better moment.
Oh yeah, it was good. It
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah. Is it even possible to light a fart? It has to be.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
If
Well, there you go.
Jackass Steve-O can do it, I'm pretty sure. I don't
Oh,
think
you're
they CG that stuff. So
yeah. That's true. Yeah. No, I forgot about that.
yeah. And yes, it definitely, because I think like it's a biohazard for like uh just in general, like for dumps, like, you know, just general dumps, they have to keep caution of their methane levels when just random stuff decomposing it, you know, it's methane, and they have to be
Oh yeah.
careful because it is a fire hazard kind of thing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
pretty sure it
Oh,
is a thing.
yeah. Oh yeah, and at one point in this movie, the hippie girl talked about how animals' farts are basically nothing but pure methane. So there you
Yep,
go.
they do set it
Uh,
up, and he's just like,
yeah.
shut up, we don't care, that doesn't matter right now."
Oh my god, this movie's brilliant. It sets up
Yeah,
so many things. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's I totally forgot about that. Cause yeah, he like starts laughing at the farting sheep, and she's like, "Don't laugh. Don't you know that animal flatulence is dead?" Like she goes on about
It's
whatever.
ruining
But
the environment. Yeah, yep.
yeah. Oh my god.
And then, you know, after everyone's good saved, there's that little stinger at the end.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
they show the dog up on the hill, up on the hill, and
Yeah.
then zooms in, and instead of a woof, it goes bah.
Yeah. It's like, uh-oh, the nightmare isn't over.
Uh-oh.
Oh, oh.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a mountain oyster joke too, if you know what those are.
It
It's just
was.
Yeah.
like, oh, the hippie girl's like, oh, I love seafood. And then she's like, that's sheep balls. Oh shit, and I forgot, we missed the other part that we were gonna mention is like
Oh
the
yeah.
sheep, like the sheeps just start like because the brother does get injected with the serum, and so the mutated sheep start attacking him, and then they
Oh
just
yeah,
there's like a prosthetic dick. He gets his dick bit off by a sheep.
yeah, that was great. I forgot about that for
Yeah.
somehow. I don't know
How?
but
It's one of those scenes you don't forget, but we did somehow.
yeah, yeah. The dick biting was definitely pretty epic.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen it happen with a sheep before in a movie.
Can't say that I have.
No.
Yeah, I don't recall. Yeah, this might be a first. So
Yep. So yeah, that being said, I love this movie. It was fun.
this is
Well
a good fun.
shot, well acted, good humor, good gore, good all around. I give it a 4 stars. At least a 4-star, yeah.
Yeah,
Recommend
I'm like,
it. I recommend it highly, especially since it's a Tubi movie. Like one of the best probably I've seen. I haven't gone through trying to find good ones, but it's best
yeah.
Tubi movie I've seen so far. Easy, yeah.
There's some good stuff on Tubi if you look hard enough. You
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Gotta dig through all the crap.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
stumbled upon this one. This was a good
Yeah.
one. Definitely recommend it.
Yeah. I'm like kind of like between 3 and 4, kind of like leaning towards 4. Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. It was very fast paced too. It gets going like
It starts and doesn't stop.
waste any
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. But I'd say 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
Good effects. I love the effects. Like
Yeah.
especially
It was some good.
they had like every stage of the transformation, which was really cool.
Yeah, that was sweet. When
But,
like that Tucker guy, he was transforming and was like shaking on the table and shit. And also the brother too had some of that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you catch
Yeah.
when he was transforming? He's like, "You bastard."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the brother said it too. Like he said something. I think it was like on the phone, and he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely a good movie. Definitely a good one to watch on Tubi if you want to. Yeah, it's I love these crazy New Zealand. Yeah, this was like up there with Body Melt for me. Just a fun, crazy, wild ride of wackiness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hell
I don't
yeah.
know. Sheep are definitely like an interesting animal to make a threat into.
And they are creepy, just even though they're harmless. Like if they do like like I don't think they're really acting. They were just kind of staring, and they just have a
Yeah,
vacant look. Like, okay, just put some menacing music behind just a regular harmless sheep eating some hay, and yeah, it
yeah,
is kind
and
of
then the
creepy
sheep.
looking.
Yeah,
Yep.
the sheep will do its job for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just their weird looking eyes and shit. Yeah,
Yeah, sheep are kind of a little like empty, they just
hmm
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've spent enough time around sheeps to know
Oh,
that
and
I
you
don't
know what? I'm gonna give it 5 stars because of the shepherd dog.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
because
Yeah, no, go
I
for
love
it.
that shit. I love shepherd dogs. So
Yeah.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 star
Forgot
5 star
about him.
couple of flicks. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple of them in there. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it a record? 2 5 stars
I think so. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
different movies, at least. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You know, um but I Calamity of Snakes, I probably would have given a higher rating to, like, without all the animal death, but I still liked it overall, I guess, over like putting that stuff aside. But yeah, Black Sheep, though, of the 3 in this episode, like, even though, like, Long Weekend is the one that I've enjoyed. I enjoyed the experience of, as far as like thinking about it and absorbing it and stuff like that. Black Sheep was definitely like the most entertaining of the 3.
Yeah.
So
Black Sheep is one I want to purchase and would recommend to friends, and like would rewatch. The other ones I wouldn't necessarily say I would ever rewatch them.
yeah,
But this one I'd probably watch a few times over because
yeah,
it was fun and wacky, and yeah, I just dug the humor too, and yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was up there with Hard Ticket to Hawaii. You know, just
Mhm.
like um yeah, good energy and crazy animal stuff, you know.
Yeah, just also just well done, like well acted, well shot, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Like,
yeah, I agree. It was good. I'm glad I saw it.
yeah,
I know I've seen the cover before. I thought it looked kind of like
yeah,
a
I think I
cheap,
did too.
silly movie. Yeah. Um
Yeah.
um did you watch this on Tubi, Zach?
I have a DVD.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
I've had
nice,
it for a while, so it's definitely
Yeah.
it's good to finally watch it.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that came out a while ago. Uh I wonder if that DVD is still available.
should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Black Sheep was definitely a good one. Um, so I guess, yeah, so I guess that concludes our animals episode, and I'd say it was a learning experience. Um,
Yeah,
I
in
think I
many
would,
ways.
yeah, definitely. We learned a lot about sheep. We learned a lot about taking care of the environment, and we learned a lot about what the insides of snakes look like.
Yeah, the
We
health
didn't learn a
benefits of
tremendous,
eating gallbladders of
yeah,
snakes.
yeah, which is a very fascinating custom, I must say. But overall, I think I would do another episode of this, of another animal episode. If we chanced upon it on the Wheel of Death again, I think I would. I think there are some other animal movies out there
No,
that I'd
yeah.
be curious to
Oh, there's
delve.
plenty. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I bet we can find ones that are weirder than these three.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But let's not do Milo and Otis. That's the one movie I don't think we
Mhm.
should ever do. You know? Like that to me is more evil than Calamity of Snakes. Like, even though Calamity of Snakes is obviously the harder one to watch, it's more disturbing to me to think about the like what actually happened to those two animals during the making of that. You know, so
Mm,
but we don't need to go into that anymore. You know, but the bottom line is I think the three of us love animals. Uh,
yeah.
You.
yeah. So now I guess uh we'll come out with our now that this episode is concluded, we'll come out with our full moon video choices, since that was what we landed on the Wheel of Death previously.
You.
Who wants to go first?
Mm, Go first this time.
Okay.
I usually have a couple of options, but I have the one this time.
Nice.
So on my DVD, it's called Time Slingers, but everywhere else, it's called Aliens in the Wild Wild West.
It's an alien western.
That's what it says, but it's full moon, so we'll see.
Yeah. All right. All right. Cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Um, do you want to go next or should I go next?
Uh, doesn't matter. I'll just go. Yeah, I chose very on theme for my type of movie.
Yeah.
Teenage space vampires.
Excellent. Teenage Space Vampires, Time Slingers. All right. And then my choice is going to be Shadow Zone from 1990, I think it is.
Huh?
What year was Time Slingers?
99.
Okay, yeah, mine was 99 as well.
Cool.
90s movies.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. All right. So we're going to have a 90s full moon video fest.
Yeah.
And yeah. I thought about going with David Dakota movie, and then I thought about going with an Albert Pien movie, and then I thought about going with a couple different Stuart Gordon movies, but in the end, I
Just
settled on
curious.
this. So
Just curious too. What's the difference between full moon and moonbeam? Because I just looked up Moonbeam because that's what the wheel was. I assume they're about the same or subsidiary of one another or something like that.
Moonbeam is like the family, like the family line, basically.
Okay,
And
because
they also
that makes sense because I looked up like just Moonbeam movies and I saw all the Prehistoria has like 3 or 4 sequels.
yeah, Moonbeam is it's their family line, and they are also, that was the line that I guess got picked up by Paramount, and then somehow and then somehow their movies wound up on the Disney Channel. Like,
I mean, I guess if they're family, I mean, Prehistoria is. I would like. I think I said it in the when we reviewed it. Throw it on for your kids. It's fine.
yeah,
Fine
it's
movie.
a harmless movie. So, um, okay, cool. So 90s full moon video. Now, do we dare spin the wheel of death?
I
Yep.
think we do.
All right, let's do it. I think I'm ready.
Should pop up, Shuffle it a few times. National Lampoons.
All right,
cool.
all right.
All right, excellent. I don't know which one to choose, but I'll definitely take a look at their catalog.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird ones from the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
I remember there was one I think you bought it actually. It that had Corey Feldman in it. The
Last Resort.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that one.
Now let's just hope that they're streaming.
Oh, that's a good question.
'Cause,
Yeah.
I don't know if those would be something that's.
Well, I guess we'll find out,
Yeah.
But if it ends up being a bust, then we'll have to just spin the wheel again. All right, cool. National Lampoon. Let's do it. All right, good evening, folks. Thank you for listening to us talk about animals. I hope that you learned something as we did. And I think that's about all I have to say. So yeah, have a good night.
Like, comment, and subscribe, and
Oh, yes. And
Yeah.
like, comment, and subscribe.
Whatever. Have a good one.
See ya.